when we have a 11/11, we will actually plan a campaign. Say, for example, the whole 11/11, we want to spend maybe $2,000. Okay, let's say if I want to spend $2,000, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to distribute maybe 80% on the tier 1, 20% on the tier 2. Now, when should you start advertising for events like 11/11? You should start about 2 to 3 weeks earlier. I think based on my observation, the latest observation, I think 2 weeks, it's about right. But of course, 10 days before, you're not too late, because this is where we want to start getting people, because this is also the time where the cost per 1,000 impression, the CPM, is not at the peak yet. Eventually, the nearer it moves to the 11/11, the higher the cost gets. For those who know, right, this round on the 11/11, on the day itself, the CPM rose about 120% compared to the normal time. So normal time, we were spending about maybe 10 ringgit, maybe like a $2 to $3 per CPM, per 1,000 impression. Come to 11/11, right, it went up to about 6 or 7, almost double. No, sorry, more than double. It actually increased by about 120 to 150% the CPM, because a lot more people are actually pumping in money. So you want to start running your advertisement about 2 weeks, 10 days to 2 weeks time. So this is where the cost is still cheap, and you start bringing a lot more people from your tier 1. So in this point of time, you probably want to spend a lot more money on tier 1. So in this case, you probably will spend 90%. For the first 1 week, you will spend 90% on tier 1, only about 10% on tier 2. For 11/11, we all know one of the very unique so-called characteristic about events like 11/11 is people buy usually on the day. So from the very beginning, it's really the time where you want to accumulate and capture a lot more intent. You want to tell them that you want to add to cart, you want to do this education, because for a fact that during this period of time, you're not going to get a lot of sales. So the moment you get a lot of intent, you get a lot of, you actually convert a lot of people into your warm audiences, where you're accumulating the bomb for your tier 2, right? You get what I mean already? So for the very beginning, for the first 2 weeks, you don't spend a lot of money on your tier 2, only about 10%. Now, towards the end of it, okay, on the 10th of November, 48 hours within that 11/11, we're gonna turn the whole thing upside down. We're gonna stop advertising on the front end, because this is where the cost is getting a lot more expensive already. And then you already lose the momentum, because until 10th of November or 11th of November, only you do the introduction. You're gonna kind of like, of course it can still work. So that's why we still maintain a certain portion of the budget on the core audience, which is a tier 1. But we will pump a lot more into our tier 2, and we will tell them that, I know you're interested. You keep reminding them on these particular 2 days. So it's a lot heavier on the tier 1 from the beginning. But when we move towards the last 48 hours of the event, we will actually move maybe even 70 to 80% of the budget on tier 2, which is really within these 2 days time. We want to nurture them to the max and make sure that they take the action, because people do buy on that day only. This is how the whole thing works. So this is how you want to build your campaign for 11/11. So that's particularly for 11/11. So 11/11, 9/9, 10/10. In fact, I think moving forward, we already know, right? This is what we're gonna do. This is what they're gonna do.